Hi, this is Vanessa Joy here with Adorama, and today we are working on portraits with continuous light. I have my amazing model here. This is Michael. You can find him at Michael Nicolo on Instagram. You have a lot of fun stuff on Instagram, so I suggest you go do that. Funny story how we met. I picked him up in a coffee shop. So now we're here, and he's actually also a video producer, so he knows some of this behind the scenes stuff as well. Your first time here on Adorama, so I figured I'd give you a good introduction. So you're gonna have a seat there. We're gonna do two different looks with continuous lights. Now here's the thing, I shoot flash, I shoot natural light, but continuous lights definitely have their place. If you're a natural light photographer, using off-camera continuous lights like the ones I have here is a really nice way to start working with off-camera flash or any off-camera light, because unlike flash, unless you have a modeling light, you can't really see what's going on with the light patterns on the face, and even if you have a modeling light, you don't as easily see what you're photographing as far as how intense the different lights are. With continuous lights, what you see is what you get. So we are working with, let me flip this one around. I think this will be the easiest one to look at. We are working with the brand new Westcott Solix lights. Now these are not the old ones, these are the new ones. These have bicolor. So that means I can go from a really cold light, let me actually turn it this way so you can see how the light changes. You can go from a cold light to a really warm light. It gives you a lot of different control. We're gonna actually just start off as cool as these lights get for the first one, and then we'll play a little bit with the color temperatures. And if you've ever seen me shoot, you probably know what I'm gonna do with this. So we're gonna start off with a portrait with a nice black background. We have V-Flat World V-Flats here. They're super portable. They fold up into the size of a square, and they have a white and black side. And now with improved Velcro, that is also white and black, depending on which side you do it with. So we're gonna start off with the black. I have another Solix light here that's bouncing off of a V-Flat so that my light source becomes larger and softer on Michael's face. I'm gonna keep that pretty much how it is, and they both are at the same color. And I think the same intensity. Let's double check. This is at 34, and this one is also at 2. So I'm gonna bump that up a little bit, I think. Let's just start off with it being the exact same thing. And again, what you see is what you get. So if I look right now at Michael's face, I can tell that this light is sort of spilling in, and it's not just giving him a rim light, it's spilling into the front of his cheekbones, which I definitely don't want. So I'm gonna go ahead and move it back a little bit, point it away from him a little bit more using these barn doors. And now I can see that the light is really just hitting the side of his face and not spilling over into the front of his cheek and under his eyes, which I definitely don't want. So this is a really good place to start. The camera that I'm using a Canon 1DX Mark II with the newer 85mm 1.4 image stabilized lens. Now because we're working with continuous light, I don't get to set my ISO all the way down at 100, just gotta work with what I have. So I'm gonna use my live view to get my first initial exposure, and I really eyeball it. So right now I'm at 500 ISO. I could probably go a little lower. Let's go down to 320. And I can go down lower on my shutter speed because this is an image stabilized lens. So I'm down at 1/25. And let's give myself a little bit of leeway. I'm at 2.5. And then my white balance, again, as I see it, I can dial it in. Just one of the benefits of working with continuous light like this. So that looks pretty good. My white balance ended up being at 4,000. So, hey Seth, I'm jealous you're in London. Not fair. Oh, Seth. I'm gonna use your Brooklyn reflector. Later. All right, this portrait we want to be a little bit more dramatic, so we have a nice side light coming in on Michael's face and just that rim light really giving him a nice jawline, which you already have, but it accentuates it a little bit. And you're in a perfect pose, kind of leaning forward like that. Let's give this a shot. Nice. And then chin down a little bit more. Perfect. Turn your nose a little this way. And give me a smirk. You have a good smirk. Love it. So this is what we've got so far. Nice, clean, continuous light. And let's see if I can get a better exposure on that, maybe back up. Cool. And it looks pretty good. It's not blown out like you guys see in there, I promise, but I can see what's happening. Now right away I can see on the upper part of his face, it has a little bit too much spill there. So I think I'm gonna back off the light a little bit. I like the light ratio. The backlight is a little bit brighter, but I kind of like my rim to be a little bit more accentuated. So let's just go ahead and turn this way a little bit. So I'm not going to get as much on his face, and then maybe we'll just bring up the intensity a little. Since I pointed it away from him, now I need to bring up the intensity again. So let's take one more like that. Yeah, I like how this looks. And I loved how you're leaning. Do me a favor, stick one foot out a little bit more. Yeah, and that way we're making his shoulders go asymmetrical. Just makes it a little bit more interesting. Perfect, chin down just a smidge. And then really stick your chin out like this. Yeah. That was a good smirk. Nice. Good. That's better. I like that exposure on him a little bit better. And got some good different portraits. So now let's switch it up. We've got a nice dark look. Now we're going to switch it and be a little bit more creative. So at first, you know, you can go switch to your green shirt, I think. We even got a model change for you guys today. Wardrobe change. I'm going to leave this light the way that it is. You know what I might do actually? Ooh. You can take, there is a dome that's on here that helps even out the spread of the light, but it's just magnet. You can take it off if you want it to be a little bit brighter. And I think I'm gonna do that because this is really my light source. I don't necessarily need this to soften my light, so plop that over to the side. Now I'm gonna switch my V flat, so it is a white background. Just like that. Have you guys ever used a V flat like this? That's one of the nice things about this is you can just switch it back and forth. All right, we're gonna come over to this light now. I'm taking off the barn doors because I want this to be a very warm, almost like golden light spilled in. If you've ever seen me shoot, you've probably seen how much I love to make it look like it's golden hour. So the way that we can do this with this type of setup is I'm just gonna take my background, move it a little bit forward, and this light is gonna spill from behind it. Now I learned this technique, by the way, from Sue Bryce, who is a wonderful portrait photographer in LA, and she does a similar setup with a backdrop just like this, but lowered halfway with a window behind, so you get window light spilling behind. We don't really have that kind of window light here, but this is what we're gonna start with. I'm also gonna take the dome off here because I want a little bit more light coming out of here because I want it to look like it's a nice warm glow behind him. And now to make it warm, all I have to do is come back here to my dial, switch to color, and then I'm gonna turn it as yellow as it goes, so all the way down to 32. And now we got a nice warm light coming out of here. Right off the bat, I know I'm gonna need a more intense light also, so I'm just gonna make it go as high as I can. And looking where Michael's now sitting, this should look pretty good. Let's take a look. Again, the nice thing about continuous light is I can see what's happening here, and I have a nice glow coming over his head, and it's not hitting him so much on the shoulders. It still is. I could even lower that light in the back a little bit more, and then it wouldn't hit him quite as much. So being able to see that has nice control. Now I'm gonna switch up this light a little bit too. I just want it to be slightly more flat. So I'm gonna come push this in front of him. We might need to up the intensity a little bit. And again, I can just look at his face. I'm not looking at what numbers I'm doing back here. I'm just looking at his face and looking at the difference between the back light and the front light and deciding how bright I want this to go. I think right about there, because I do want the backlight to be a little bit brighter. I'm also gonna make sure this is as cool as it can go, and it is. Oh my gosh, guys, don't look directly into the light. Now all I see are the little dots. Okay, the last thing that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna switch my lens. If you want it to look like there's a nice golden haze, a longer lens helps with this. So I'm switching from the 85-1.4 and I'm gonna go to the 135 2.0. Again, Canon lens, one of my absolute favorite Canon lenses to shoot with. I can't go as low on my aperture, but I'm usually not shooting all the way down at 1.4 anyway. So let's go ahead and get an exposure, and I gotta back up. We're using all the event space today. Let's see. And I think I'm gonna have to shoot you a little bit higher because I know the background, I could put the white part back up behind him, but I want that spill of the light coming from behind him. So I'm gonna have to stand up for this one. Let's just get our initial exposure here. Looking good so far. So I have the same exact exposure as I had previously, and it's pretty good, but I'm gonna warm up the white balance. So the white balance is gonna come up, let's go to about 5,200. Wow, that shirt really brings out your eyes, Michael. Looks really good. All right, nice. You can shoot in live view too. You know, once you start using mirrorless, you kind of like want to do that. All right, so my exposure for this, I really just changed my white balance. I'm gonna go up on my shutter speed too, because this lens does not have image stabilization in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and bump up to 200 and then bump up 2 clicks then on my ISO. And it'll give me a nice balanced exposure, but a little bit more room for my shakiness, because y'all make me so nervous, I just shake. All right, let's give this a try. Love that similar pose. And that looks really good. Nice. Lower your chin just a little bit. That's perfect. And then let me have you actually swing your legs over this direction. Yep. And then you can still kind of lean towards, oh, that's perfect. This looks really fun. I'm gonna move this here. Now I have a little bit more of even a flat light on his face. So let's roll with this. Good, and now I even have more of a haze coming in as well. So look at the difference there. See how hazy that is? As opposed to just the angle before, now the light behind him is more defined. By moving, what was that, 3 inches to the right? Now I let the light come into my lens more, creating more of a hazy look. Let's do this, and just because I feel like using the Berkeley reflector, we're gonna use this and get some more light in there. Which is always fun one-handing it. There we go. Nice. Do me a favor, look down towards my feet. Love that. And then back up to me. Awesome. Ah, look how golden, glowy, and pretty it is. Great headshot. This is going to be the beginning of your acting career, I think, Michael. So nice, warm, didn't change anything, but it's just a simple setup. Let me do one more where I can get like your whole headshot in case you want to actually use this for a headshot. The hand that you have in front, just kind of bring it back to your hip a little bit more. Yeah.
You said be gentle with the reflector.
I'll be gentle with it. That looks awesome. See how shaky I am? I'm using one hand, so you know what? I think I'm gonna go up on my shutter speed even more because I'm super shaky. So I'm going up to 2/50th of a second and then ISO 640. I think this camera can handle it. I think we're good. Love it. And then do one of those smiles. You have such a good smile. Perfect. You have like a real one, not even a fake one. Nice. All right. So this is what we're looking at. Nice soft light, and you wouldn't think you can get this kind of soft light out of a continuous light source, but it looks really good. Ooh, that one's nice. So I'm pretty sure Michael will Instagram these later, hopefully, so you'll see them on his Instagram, and you'll definitely see them on mine. I'm gonna go back in the light here. We have any questions? We good? Does anyone want to know about the Brooklyn reflector? More importantly, Seth can answer you on that one. Cool. So these are, again, the continuous lights and just how you can do 2 different types of portraits with them. We're using V-flat World V-flats and Westcott, the new Solix bicolor lights. Canon equipment here, and creating some nice portraits that are really easy to figure out because you can see the light, see what it's doing, see how intense it is, and it's a nice precursor to shooting with flash.
Good
Question, yeah.
If you want to change to black and white, would you make the color cooler and also harder light, like a beauty dish?
If I wanted to make it black and white, kind of 2 different questions. So if I wanted black and white, I shoot in color and then I convert it to black and white later. But what I think you're asking is if I were to intend to make a final black and white product, would I shoot it with slightly harder light, maybe a beauty dish to get more angles, more shadows? And yeah, I probably would actually, because my black and whites, I like to have really rich blacks and really good contrast there. So that's a really good question. But again, you can see it all when you're shooting with it, working with continuous light. So it's a nice way to advance from natural light to go into flash with baby steps. Cool. I am, one more? No. Okay. I am Vanessa Joy here with Adorama. You can find me at Vanessa Joy here on Instagram and at Michael Austin Nicolo on Instagram. And I will see you guys next time. Thanks.